Hello, I'm Amy White and I'm an employment solicitor with Rix Kay. Today I'm going to talk to you about how to run a successful grievance procedure and take you through my top 10 tips. Your first consideration should be whether you can resolve the matter informally or whether you need to engage a formal process. When you're thinking about that, consider the nature of the complaint the employee's brought. How serious is it? How complex is it? Also have a think about what your employee wants and what they're expecting. Have they referred to your written grievance procedure in bringing the grievance to your attention? And are they expecting a formal process to be followed to see this matter through? My second tip is to make sure that you refer to some really important documents. The first one is your written grievance procedure if you have one. That might set out a timeline that you need to follow in resolving the grievance, so it's really important you have a look at it when things get started. You should also refer to the ACAS Code of Conduct and its associated guidance, and that's all available online and it's really easy to access. Whilst not following the Code of Conduct won't necessarily result in a claim being brought, if your employee brings a claim about separate matters and the tribunal decides that you unreasonably failed to follow the Code of Conduct in dealing with their grievance, then they can uplift the damages the employee receives by up to 25%. Now this is a really key tip. Don't delay. When you're arranging the grievance meeting, make sure it happens as soon as possible. And when you've made your decision, make sure you deliver it to the employee as quickly as possible. The tribunal's really critical of unnecessary delays, so keep your eye on the timeline throughout the process and make sure things aren't being left to hang around or to drag on. My fourth tip is to remember that an employee has a statutory right to bring a companion to a grievance meeting. Now that companion can be either a trade union representative or a work colleague. Remind the employee of that right when you invite them to the grievance meeting, and if they attend the meeting without a companion, check they're happy to proceed without one. If your employee has a disability, you need to check whether they need you to make reasonable adjustments to allow them to participate in the grievance meeting. When we talk about reasonable adjustments, we're thinking about maybe moving the venue to allow the employee better access, or changing the time of the meeting to ensure that it suits the employee. Now, keeping records throughout the grievance process is an absolute must. Make notes of any telephone conversations or face-to-face conversations you have with the employee about the grievance, and also make sure a note taker attends the grievance meeting and any subsequent appeal meeting to take minutes. Having a written record of what was said throughout the grievance process is going to really help if you end up at the tribunal having to defend a claim. The purpose of a grievance meeting is to find a resolution to the issue that's arisen. When you're running a grievance meeting, you need to keep your cool and you need to make sure that things don't get heated. Be sensitive, and if a timeout is needed, make sure you take one. Whatever the outcome of the grievance, you need to allow your employee the opportunity to appeal it. That's a fundamental right. When you deliver the outcome of the grievance process to the employee, tell them how they go about appealing, who they appeal to, and any time limit for making sure they lodge their appeal. My penultimate tip is to make sure that different people deal with the different stages of the grievance process. So the grievance meeting and the appeal meeting should ideally be chaired by different people. Doing that ensures as much objectivity as possible. My final top tip is to make sure that matters are kept confidential. So from the employer's side, making sure that any meeting chairs, any witnesses and any note takers don't disclose details of the grievance. They shouldn't be talking about it with colleagues or third parties, and should be reminded that so doing could result in disciplinary action. In terms of the employee who's brought the grievance, they should also be reminded to keep matters confidential. But if their companion is a work colleague, they're obviously going to need to be able to discuss their grievance with that person. So that's it, my top tips for running a successful grievance procedure. Of course, if you need any advice or assistance in running a grievance procedure, please don't hesitate to contact us at Rix Kay.